Salute ATP, it's your boy Claymore Rain. Shout out to all my subscribers. This is the first time peeping the content. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Hit your bell icon so you're getting all these alerts when this content is dropping. So, Twitter fingers. Man, the boxing space is going crazy right now, right? Or is it the space, or is it just a few fighters who are having a hard time adjusting to adversity? I mean, let's talk about it. So, Devin Haney goes to Twitter and decides to tell everybody he's entertaining, taking a 2-year hiatus from the sport. This all amidst Ryan Garcia also on Twitter saying that he's retiring, that he's also, facing some adversity as well in the sport that he doesn't feel like he's rightfully facing. You combine that with just the history the past couple of years with Teofimo deciding to go ahead and retire from the sport for a little hiatus, it turned out to be, or Shakur Stevenson threatening to also retire. What's going on in the space? Well, what's going on in the space is economically and commercially speaking, more importantly, a lot of these fighters just aren't translating over into the commercial market to where they can garner the money that they feel like they're worth, the value that they believe they have. This game is a prize fighting game. These fighters are prize fighters and they fight for money. There's no question about that, and there's no reason to keep that in the dark or play like that's a big conspiracy. That's the name of the game. Making money is the reason why these fighters are doing what they're doing. I mean, yes, I'm sure they do love boxing and they love the fight game and the sweet science, and they've committed a large portion of their life to this. So there's definitely some I'm sure there's ambition and there's some definite motivation behind the legacy part of fighting. But we can all be honest to say that, money-wise, prize money-wise is the reason why they do this. Now, me particular, I don't really like jumping into the prize fighting conversation as far as discussing a fighter's money, how much they've made, how many people fill in the seats, how many people spend money on the pay-per-views, who's the more popular face, quote unquote, of boxing. I think it gets in the way of obviously we can tell right now it gets in the way of the best fighting the best, and the things that as a boxing fan I hold as at the top of the list of the important things to me personally that excite me about the sport. The prize part about it obviously doesn't steer me one way or the other. I mean, let's be honest, that none of that money's coming back to me, paying any of my bills, putting any clothes on my kids' back. So I don't care about it as much. But it does become a part of the conversation once it starts interfering with the fights that you want to see happening, or the fighters fighting who you want them to see fighting, however you want to look at it. It's the same thing to me, right? And right now, Devin Haney has crossed over, coming from being a legacy fighter who was trying to build the value in his name by chasing greatness, by becoming the youngest undisputed champion in the 4-belt era, and also becoming a 2-weight class champion as well. Crossing over from that Devin Haney into the new Devin Haney, who is more focused on prize fighting and making himself the face of boxing and becoming a big pay-per-view star and being a great dance partner to another pay-per-view star to make as much money as he can. Well, with the last event that Devin Haney was involved in, as far as Ryan Garcia is concerned, number one, we saw the performance that was very lackluster from Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia put a great performance on, was able to put Devin Haney down anywhere from a legitimate 3 times to, technically speaking, 5-6 times in the fight. Ryan Garcia shined, right? But Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney thinking they were going to sell a lot of pay-per-views, it looks like, as far as back-end money, if that represents anything as far as success of that event was concerned, they didn't receive a lot of back-end money. They went out publicly on a Twitter space complaining, saying that Oscar De La Hoya need to reach out to them because they didn't get the money. They haven't been paid on their back end yet. And Oscar had to let them know publicly, unfortunately, via Twitter that, hey, listen, you guys have gotten all the money that you're supposed to get. The back end money you're talking about, when we get it, we give it to you. And I think these fighters may have been spoiled a little bit under these promotional banners, maybe, possibly, especially when we're talking about Devin Haney, as far as being paid a lot of money, being in position to make a lot of money, but the people who are involved with them may not be coming up as much as they are. And it gets to a point where the buck stops somewhere, right? And it seems like on this one, the buck stops here, as far as Eddie Hearn is concerned and DAZN is concerned. As far as the Devin Haney business is concerned with DAZN, they've made it abundantly clear by their action. They've made it abundantly clear that there's no profit in the Devin Haney business, that well, not in the Devin Haney business, but in particular, let's just say for now, as far as the Devin Haney and him fighting mandatory and Sando Martin, there's no money in that business, and this is a ROI business, return on investment. You put in money thinking that you're going to get something back on it that's going to make what you put in make sense. And if Eddie Hearn is seeing that this doesn't make sense for him to get involved in a situation like that for him to make money, then naturally him and the zone are going to go ahead and pull themselves, pull their risk out of the pot and allow somebody else who may be willing to take that risk to go ahead and take that risk. Keeping in mind that Eddie Hearn has gone out on interviews explaining that, listen, the business of working with a fighter who's not loyal to them, who's not signed to them, is not a business that the zone or clearly Eddie Hearn is interested in being a part of. So this is speaking towards Devin Haney's independent mindset, you know, being a promoter, owning his own, being able to move around from promotional company to promotional company and make all the fights that he wants to make and get paid. Well, not all promoters are going to co-sign to that type of mentality, because ultimately, what's the vested interest for a company to work with you, you know, as far as the development stages of your career is concerned, developing you, putting you in position to be successful, when you're not in turn returning the favor back to them to put them in a position to be successful. So Eddie Hearn has made his where he stands clear. And Bob Arum has also made where he stands clear by valuing the fight and letting them know that supposedly somewhere between $2.5 million is the value of the fight to Top Rank, that they found after they've done their research that the masses are interested in doing, right? As far as the masses are willing to pay for, excuse me. So it doesn't seem like Devin Haney's happy about that. Seems like, you know, it's easy once you get paid a certain amount and you're involved in certain conversations, it's hard to pull you down from that level and bring you back to the beginning. But I mean, to be fair, Devin Haney is in rebuilding stages. He suffered a very, very bad loss against Ryan Garcia. A lot of people feel like he was exposed. The rumor going around is that, you know, they want to compare him to some sort of bust, some generational talent bust, who everybody thought he was the goods and he's not the goods, you know, saying that the hype train of Devin Haney and Haney Promotions has been derailed. And people are looking at Devin Haney from a way different point of view than they were before the Ryan Garcia fight. Now that Gervonta Tank Davis is back in the picture, now that Gervonta Tank Davis is calling out fighters he wants to fight, and setting a bar, dare I say, of what promotional companies are probably looking to be involved with, perspective has been put on the scene. Keep in mind that Eddie Hearn, months before the fight started, already had made his point of view clear as far as where he stood on a Sando Martin Devin Haney fight, right? He mentioned that, listen, at the end of the day, he was actually advising Devin Haney to go ahead and vacate that WBC title, right? So that he can get Devin Haney involved in some bigger fights and some bigger conversations. He was looking to recoup at that point. Like, oh, all right, we took some L's doing some different things here, but now that we've gone ahead and had this big Regis Prograis fight, we can move forward. We're going into a Ryan Garcia fight. Let's keep this momentum going and jump into some high-profile fights that make sense, not a mandatory with Sando Martin. But Devin Haney came out and said, listen, I changed my mind. It's not about prize fighting. I'm going back on the road of becoming undisputed now at 140 to become a two-weight class undisputed champion. Hip, hip, hooray. As far as the boxing space is concerned, you know, become a champion. Become celebrated. Embrace who you are. You know, Devin Haney's never been a knockout artist or there's a super exciting fighter like a Tank Davis. But he was always a boxer who was held in well regard in the boxing space as one of the best boxers in the space, one of the best jabs in the space, IQ wise, that he was one of the best in the business. It seems like in a Ryan Garcia fight, he might have left that alone a little bit and jumped into another bag and suffered the consequences he did. Now Devin Haney trying to get back on that road. Eddie Hearn is just pretty much staying true to what he said before the fight happened, that he's not interested in coordinating or financing or putting a bid in on a Sando Martin fight, especially like he said, when the fighter's not my fighter, when the fighter's not under my banner, when he's not loyal to us, why would I get involved in a situation like that? I think that makes complete sense. But Devin Haney now responding to the situation with potentially taking a hiatus from a sport that he claims that he wants to be great in, that he claims that he's looking to find greatness in. Well, look, at the end of the day, it kind of makes him look like a hypocrite, right? You're kind of going back on the foundation that got you here, and now you're becoming this sedity, bougie, spoiled brat of a fighter that is now going to take his ball and go home now because the game ain't going his way, right? My my perspective personally on this is very simple. If you're boxing, we're going to talk about you because this is boxing. If you're not boxing, then just as quickly we can go ahead and move on from you. Fighters are just being held to what they say the standards that they've set out there that they want to be held to, of who they are and how they're to be judged. When you fall short of that because of things like this and you try to make the business of boxing the business of the fans, well, I think at that point we start to get into these gray areas, and it gets very in turn. Well, I would say at that point the boxer is trying to put it inside of a gray area, and I think they're mistakenly judging what the fans' point of view is on the conversation, because for the fans it's more black and white. It's either you are or you aren't. Everything else in the middle, well, look, that's your prerogative. That's how you choose to move with it. Devin Haney's best bet, in my opinion, is to stick to the script. Fight Sandor Martin. Coordinate that fight. Get what you get for that fight. Move forward. Look to make some unified. Look to unify that division. Things that I'm sure Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum would love to get involved with. Things that make more sense and put the money thing into better perspective. But yes, you have to take a few steps back, because you took a few steps back when you took that loss. And yes, granted, Ryan Garcia was caught with supplements inside of, with performance enhancement drugs inside of his supplements. And I'm sure the New York State Athletic Commission plans on handling that. However that happens, it's okay. But to make this a situation to where you're just becoming the most slighted person in boxing, and now you're going to take a 2-year hiatus. What is your value going to look like when you get back? I mean, without a title now, because the title is the one thing that holds you in the conversation. But now you go ahead and vacate that WBC title. You don't fight that mandatory in Sandor Martin. You go on this 2-year hiatus. What does it look like for Devin Haney when he comes back? Is he going to be missed? Is he going to be the biggest star in the world now? I don't know. Some people say Devin is trolling. Maybe he is. Maybe he's trolling. Maybe he's trying to just trigger a reaction. And I think he's doing that very efficiently if that's what he was trying to do. A lot of people are looking at him crazy. And Ryan Garcia, in the same category. 2-year suspension for supplements for PED enhancement drugs that are found in supplements you were taking. It comes with a punishment. Accountability is going to be the most important thing in the situation. And it looks like this generation of fighters, these Twitter finger fighters who just everything has to be on Twitter, and everything has to be, all their emotions are on their sleeves, and et cetera, et cetera. Now I'm going to retire. I don't want to be part of the sport anymore. Or, these little hissy fits that you guys are throwing. It's really just unbecoming of a championship boxer, of the best, right? So let's see how it unfolds. We'll pay close attention to this as the coming days come along. Supposedly Ryan Garcia is pretty much getting ready to be sentenced. It seems like the New York State Athletic Commission may be close to rendering a decision on how they feel like they should be approaching this situation. Ryan Garcia seems to be responding up front that he plans on retiring if this doesn't go his way. So we'll see how they handle it. But there'll be a boxing with or without them, one way or the other, right? I'm not on board with none of this nonsense going on, especially from Devin Haney at this point, because you're supposed to be rehabilitating. You're supposed to be bringing back the feeling, showing everybody that what happened on April 20th was a fluke, and that's not who you are. And that was just a bad night for you. But instead, you're feeding into it now, looking scared, really looking shook a little bit, dare I ask. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, both simultaneously seem to be vested in retiring or taking a break, however you want to look at it, for an indefinite amount of time. How does this affect Devin Haney? How does this affect Ryan Garcia? And how much does the space really care, one way or the other, what they're doing? That's a good question as well. Let me know in the comments. It's your boy Claymore Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. Guys, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like button so we can spread this through the algorithm. We're almost at the 1,000 subscriber mark. We're at 960 something subscribers. Remember, once we hit that mark, we are doing a cash giveaway, courtesy of Charles Edward Cheese, who's sponsoring this giveaway. Much appreciation to Charles Edward Cheese for all the support and contributions to the channel to help the channel be where it's at. We're almost there. So, guys, tell a friend and tell a friend. It's your boy Rain. At this point, We out.